You're watching The Word on Cars. My name's Nish, and this is a Lexus NX. It's reliability, luxury, and practicality all rolled into one, and you're about to find out why. So, Lexus released the first generation of the NX in 2014, and it was a hit. Then, in 2021, Lexus dropped the second generation, which was a leap ahead of the original NX. Lexus made big changes to the interior of the NX and gave it much-needed tech upgrades to keep up with competitors. From a styling perspective, the new NX is evolution rather than revolution. Although the exteriors had a full makeover, one may find these changes to be, let's say, subtle. That's certainly not a bad thing though. The first gen NX looked fantastic. It was very much a Japanese take on the mid-size luxury SUV. Many of you may not know this, but the Lexus RX, which is the bigger brother to the NX and first released in 1998, is considered to be the first luxury SUV ever. So considering Lexus pioneered this segment, you expect they know a thing or two about luxury SUVs. Now, the NX is offered in a few variants. There's the NX250, which is the base model offered up with front-wheel drive and the slowest of the lot. The NX350, which comes only in the F Sport trim level and all-wheel drive. The NX350H, H for hybrid, in either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, which can be had in 3 levels of trim: the luxury, the F Sport like this one here, or the sports luxury. And lastly, there's the NX450H Plus, which is a plug-in hybrid available only in all-wheel drive and the quickest at 6.3 seconds to 100 Ks. Price-wise, the base NX250 costs a shade under 70,000 Australian dollars, excluding options and on-road, while the top spec NX450H Plus is, well, it's currently not available to order, and I quote, due to unprecedented global demand. But barely used or dealer demonstrators are listed for between 105 to 135,000 on road. Having said all of that, I'm going to take you through this brand spanking new NX350H F Sport, finished in white Nova, and show you what Japanese luxury is all about. So, let's start with front-end styling. Like I said, the new NX is an evolved version of the previous generation, which is attractive and very much a Lexus. The F Sport gets a sportier version of the Lexus spindle grille, which is finished in gloss black. There's also a unique front bumper bar, which emphasizes the sport in F Sport with pronounced vents on either side. Then there are the sharp and aggressive LED headlamps with integrated daytime running lights. The F Sport also gets cornering lights, adaptive high beam, automatic leveling, and headlamp cleaners that pop out of the bumper bar so you can always see in the dark. Moving over to the back end of the NX, the changes are a little more noticeable compared to the previous generation. There's a LED light bar that runs the full length of the tailgate, connecting the tail lamps, which incorporates daytime running lights. Lexus has also done away with the Lexus badge back here and replaced it with the Lexus script, which looks real classy. The F Sport also gets a sportier rear bumper bar with what looks like a diffuser, although you won't see any exhaust tips back here. Those are hidden under the NX for a cleaner look. Now, to get into the cargo area, you can either press the button on the key fob, press the button on the tailgate, or kick your foot under the bumper bar if your hands are full. I'm not a huge fan of this feature, which you find in products from other German manufacturers, because it doesn't always work, but surprisingly, it does work quite well in the NX. Space-wise, there's 520 litres, which isn't class-leading. The Audi Q5 offers the same space, while BMW offers 550 litres with the X3, and Mercedes-Benz leads the pack with 620 litres in the GLC. It's enough to play Tetris with 4 medium-sized suitcases, though, in the back of the NX. There's also deep bins under the floor for added storage space and a spot for the cargo cover. The NX rolls on run-flat tyres, so there's no spare wheel to rob this space. You can also drop the rear seats down for more space, which can only be done through the rear doors. The seats are a 60-40 split, and space increases to 1,141 litres back here with the seats down. The cargo area also gets a netted storage area, bag hangers, a 12-volt power outlet, and cargo tie-downs, as you would expect these days. Coming around to the side of the NX, the changes are once again very subtle. The silhouette of the new NX could be confused with that of the previous generation, even though every panel on the new NX is different. Aside from the changes to the front and rear that I mentioned, which gives the NX a different look, Lexus has made the biggest changes over here to the belt line, which now sits lower with a break in the middle of the back door and a sharp crease line at the bottom of the front doors. Small changes, but they certainly spruce up the look of the NX. And being an F Sport, this one has 20-inch wheels on all 4 corners, privacy glass for the rear doors, and the all-important F Sport emblems on the fenders, so everyone knows you got the sportier NX. Now, getting to the NX might take you a tick to get used to, because unlike most cars, the handle in the NX doesn't move. Instead, there's a button on the inside of the handle, press this, and the door pops out. If you're worried about what happens if the battery dies or the button malfunctions, then not to worry. There's a hidden keyhole in the handle, and the button to operate the door from the inside doubles as a lever, which you can pull to get out. On the key fob, you can lock and unlock the NX with the buttons. The fob itself looks quite stylish, feels expensive, and has a bit of weight to it. You can also open and close the windows and sunroof using the key fob. The F Sport also gets what Lexus calls the Smart Access Card, which is basically a credit card without any buttons, which you can keep on you and allows you to operate the NX. If you don't want to carry a key at all, you can use the Lexus app as a digital key to get in and drive away, which is a fantastic feature. Now, opening the doors to the NX, there's plenty of room for the driver and passenger to get in through the front. The steering wheel and driver's seat move out of the way for even easier boarding, as Lexus calls it. There's also plenty of space to get into the back seats through the rear doors. Being an F Sport, the front passengers get F Sport aluminium scuff guards, while the passengers in the back have to settle for plastic. Now, let's talk about the interior, starting with the front. There's a lot to talk about in here. Lexus has applied what they call the Tazuna concept, which means using the reins, which is inspired by the communication between human rider and horse, to design a driver-focused cabin in the NX. That's deep. The interior is what I like to call Japanese beautiful in here. There's a mix of quality materials like leather, brushed aluminium, and the not so practical, easily scratched but looks fantastic when new gloss black trimming. For ambiance, you get selectable color interior lighting at night. In terms of F Sport specifics in here, there's sports seats, electrically adjustable with memory settings, with embossed F Sport logos. The seats are very comfortable and very adjustable as you'd expect. There's also plenty of headroom up front, but the F Sport specific seats may not be wide enough for larger humans. The F Sport also gets a sports steering wheel with perforated leather grips and a nice F Sport logo at the bottom, aluminium pedals down below, and a sportier shift lever with the same perforated leather. Then there's the tech in here, which starts with this giant 14-inch touchscreen. The screen itself is very responsive and the interface looks modern. Lexus gives you standard functions, navigation, radio, phone, and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The only issue with the system though is the lack of split screen capability, which means you're looking at one source of information at a time, but this is taken care of with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's also a quick access menu for frequently used functions, which is handy. Safety technology-wise, the F Sport gets everything the base 350h Luxury gets, which is everything, including adaptive cruise control, which works hand-in-hand with traffic sign recognition to adapt to changes in speed limits, while the panoramic view monitor is unique to the F Sport and up. Now, this one has been controversial because what you see on screen is a 3D exterior view of the NX, or a view where the NX is invisible and lets you see under this SUV, which is a brilliant bit of kit. The view rotates automatically though. You can pause it, you can't move it yourself, which, if you think about it, makes sense because you don't want to sit there moving the view around while you're trying to maneuver the NX. Now, aside from the dials to adjust temperature and 2 buttons for front and rear demisters, climate control is integrated into the screen. You get 2 zones and it works perfectly fine. You also get what Lexus calls Climate Concierge to automatically take care of your climate needs inside the NX, including turning on the heated and ventilated seats, which is neat. Moving down the center stack, there's a rotary dial to change drive modes: Normal, Eco Sport, Sport Plus, and Custom. On this, the F Sport does get adaptive dampers with 2 settings, Normal and Sport. Then there's the gear lever, easy enough to use: right and back for drive, right for neutral, right and forward for reverse, which activates a reverse camera with object detection, a bird's eye view which shows you what's under this SUV, I love this feature, and your choice of grid lines, back for sport mode, and a button for park. There's also a button for EV mode to drive around silently, stability control, auto hold, a trail mode, and a toggle for the parking brake. Instrument cluster wise, there's a digital screen with a few views to choose from, which also change depending on the drive mode. It's basic information here though. What the instrument cluster lacks though is made up for by the heads-up display in this thing. It's brilliant. There's all the information you could ever want, including audio, phone, navigation, and you can even see what the touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel are set up to do by sliding your fingers over these. What's even more brilliant is that you can customize these buttons and choose what they do, including replacing audio controls with climate controls. Genius. Storage-wise in here, and starting at the top, there's a sunglass holder on the ceiling, a useless storage space under the screen. It's tiny and anything in here will fly out as soon as you step on it. Next to which there's USB-C and USB-A ports, storage space under the wireless charger with a 12-volt power outlet in there. The lid slides away with a phone when you need to get in here. 2 spring-loaded cup holders, storage under the center armrest which can be opened from either the driver or passenger side, a decent-sized glove box, and door bins that include bottle holders. If all of this isn't enough for you, the Enhancement Pack 2 option throws in a digital rearview mirror, 17-speaker Mark Levinson stereo instead of the 10-speaker system, which sounds perfectly fine to be honest, a heated steering wheel, and intelligent parking, which does all the work for you. The back seats in the NX aren't as exciting as the front, to be honest. You do get leather and glossback trimming on the doors, leather seats in the back, and the optional panoramic sunroof, which is the only option you get with Enhancement Pack 1, which extends well and truly into the second row and adds to the light and airy feel back here. The seats are comfortable though, with 2 positions for the backrest, and for a mid-sized SUV there's plenty of knee room and headroom for my 5'9" self. Width-wise, you'll definitely rub shoulders with 3 adults back here, and there's a small hump on the floor in the middle. On the plus side though, it's flat and wide enough for smaller feet. The outboard seats do get ISOFIX points, and all 3 seats get top tether mounts for baby or booster seats. Amenities-wise, there's air vents, a 12-volt power outlet, and 2 USB-C ports in the center console, climate vents under the front seats, map pockets behind both front seats, bottle holders in the doors, and a little bit of storage and 2 cup holders in the center armrest. Like I said, it's not all that exciting back here, but it's practical and comfortable for the whole family. Okay, time to jump into the driver's seat and see how this thing drives. So, driving the Lexus NX350h F Sport. Now, before I get into driving impressions, there's a misconception that I really need to address. And that is that people think a Lexus is a glamorous Toyota. It's not. It's so far from it. Yes, the NX shares the same chassis as the RAV4, the chassis being the bit that sits under the car. If you take away the body, the interior, it's what your wheels and suspension connects to. That's the only thing that the NX and the RAV4 have in common. Aside from that, from a design perspective, both exterior and interior, technology, comfort, quality, this is all very much Lexus. Anyone that still questions this, I pose the question to you. The Bentley Bentayga, the Lamborghini Urus, the Porsche Cayenne, even the Audi Q7, they're all based off the Volkswagen Touareg chassis. So does that make all of those cars a Volkswagen or a Volkswagen Touareg? I think not. This is very much a Lexus, and Lexus is a luxury brand. So now that I've got that off my chest, if you're in the market for an NX, you're looking for a car that's luxurious, comfortable, safe. If you're looking for an F Sport, then you're looking for something that's a little bit more on the sportier side. And if you're looking for a hybrid version of this car, then you're thinking about economy and being environmentally friendly. So let's talk about comfort. Being a Lexus, and it is very much a Lexus, it is superbly comfortable in here. I mean, the seats are fantastic. You've got climate concierge to take care of all of your climate needs inside the cabin. You've got all of your safety technologies to keep you going down the road without any concerns in the back of your mind. You've got adaptive cruise control, active lane keeping, you've got blind spot monitoring, emergency braking, both front and rear. I mean, you've got everything in here. You've got this giant 14-inch touchscreen that looks superb. Just looking around the cabin in here, you just get this sense of luxury, this sense of premium. The quality is fantastic, which you expect. No surprises from that perspective. And given this is also a hybrid, when you're driving this thing around in electric mode, it is super quiet. You feel well insulated inside this cabin. The cabin itself is nice and light and airy, especially with this optional panoramic sunroof. It's a great place to be. It is superbly comfortable. Now, this being an F Sport does get adaptive dampers as well. Now, what I find with the adaptive dampers in normal mode, it just cruises down the road, it absorbs bumps really well. I have a daily driver, which is an X-Trail, and I've been driving this thing over the same bumps that I go over in the X-Trail, and this thing, you don't even feel those bumps. It actually surprised me when I went over a couple of different road surfaces that I would ordinarily have to slow down for. This thing just glided over them, and I think that says a lot about the suspension in this car. It's well put together. In sport mode, it does stiffen up a little bit, but it's not jarring, it's not uncomfortable. You can actually drive this thing in sport mode on a daily basis, and I actually quite like it. I find that I do drive this car in sport more often than I put it into normal mode. So it works really well. It does stiffen up, as I said, a little bit. It's good for, weekend session around the corners. If you're going away for a weekend and you want to feel like you're in a sports car, you can always stick it into sport and stiffen up the suspension ever so slightly. It works really well. I think the suspension's good. This thing does have 20-inch wheels, and surprisingly, it doesn't really impact the ride quality. It does have low-profile tires as well, so I thought it might have impacted the overall ride quality a little bit, but to be honest with you, in normal mode, it just wafts down the road, absorbs all the bumps, undulations, irregularities on the Melbourne roads without any issues. So it is a really comfortable cabin to be in. So then performance-wise, you would think that the F Sport is sportier or more performance-oriented than the rest of the 350 hybrid lineup, but it's not. Unfortunately, the F Sport, the luxury and the Sport Luxury, all of these models in the Lexus NX350h range have the same power output, 179 kilowatts of combined power between the petrol engine and the electric motor, and about 240 newton meters out of the engine and about 270 newton meters out of the electric motor. Lexus doesn't actually advertise a combined torque figure, but for anyone out there that knows how to work that one out, let me know. Now, in terms of the performance, you don't feel like you're really missing out on much, to be honest with you. The car is very responsive. You put your foot into it, it moves. In sport mode, it does become a little bit more responsive as well. But to be honest with you, it's not groundbreaking. It isn't fast. 0 to 100 is 7.7 seconds in this particular model. So as I said, certainly not fast. You're not going to win any races, but it is a very comfortable mid-sized luxury SUV that gives you enough performance to get down the road. And I think that's what it really comes down to. What's really impressive about this is the hybrid technology, and it's no surprise given Toyota is Lexus's parent company, and Toyota's done a lot of good work when it comes to hybrid technology. The electric motor is very quiet. You can go down the road to about 40 to 45 kilometers an hour in electric, in pure EV mode. And the engine does kick in quite seamlessly, to be honest with you, when it needs to. I've been trying to catch this engine turning on, but for the life of me, I cannot hear it. I mean, the cabin's so well insulated, unless you've got your window down, you're not going to really even hear the engine start or stop. So I think that's fantastic. Now, in terms of consumption, you get a combined consumption of 5 litres per 100 kilometres as claimed by Lexus, which is pretty decent. And you also get combined carbon emissions of 114 grams per kilometre, which is pretty bloody amazing. Now, I'll put up on screen all of the other models and the carbon emissions for those, for anyone that's interested, but 114 grams per kilometre is pretty impressive. So anyone out there that's more on the environmental friendly side, then this is certainly going to tick a few boxes for you. So then we have the steering in this car. Steering is fine. Again, it is geared more towards just an everyday driver. It's comfortable, it works really well, it's highly assisted. It is an electric steering rack, which you expect to be a little disconnected. You don't necessarily feel connected to the front wheels. But again, it's really not an issue in a car in this segment, because you're not looking to be pushing this thing around corners and going for spirited drives on the weekend or taking it down to the track. It's just a nice, comfortable car for you and your family. And it does that really well. Steering wheel itself has paddle shifters on them. Now, they feel a little bit on the plasticky side. They don't feel mechanical, but again, it's an NX. It's a mid-sized luxury SUV. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. Now, nice little segue. Gearbox in this car is a CVT, which is a constantly variable transmission, which makes perfect sense in a hybrid. If you were to opt for a non-hybrid version, you get an 8-speed automatic. You are limited to 5 gears in manual mode, so you can use the paddle shifters on the steering wheel to flip through gears in the CVT, but you get 5 gears. And that works really well. Seamless gear changes, especially just in normal driving. Even in Sport Plus mode, the car just stays in automatic mode unless you use the paddle shifters to change it out of gear, and it goes back into drive very quickly, which is a little bit annoying, but to be honest, again, you're going to be just cruising around in this car. It works, it's fine. So, having said everything I've said, is the NX350 Hybrid F Sport a good car? It's a fantastic car. Now, going back to my original point of this not being a Toyota, where it really counts though is the fact that Toyota is the parent company to Lexus, so you know you're getting a certain level of quality. There's a reason why they say a Hilux is unkillable. It's a Toyota. And I think the Lexus range benefits from having that parent company behind it, and also access to a lot of technology and the level of quality that Toyota has out there to offer, which, as I said, I think Lexus has actually taken up a notch, because in here the quality is fantastic. So then overall, this is a fantastic proposition for a mid-size SUV for anyone out there. I'm just going to remind all of you again that this is, though, very much a Lexus. It is very much a luxury mid-size SUV. So if you are looking for your next car and you're looking for an SUV that's got all the technology, safety features, comfort features, and looks the part of a luxury car, then don't discount the Lexus NX. I think you should definitely add it to the list, because this car is going to surprise you.